What is going on, everyone? It's Nero again, and here for you some Call of Duty Black Ops 2 playing some Domination, this time on the map Plaza, in this week's episode of Dear Nero. It's a weekly series here on my channel where you guys send me in fan mail, fan questions if you will. If I feel as though it's a good question, an entertaining question, I will go ahead and answer it. I don't know. I don't know if I like the intro right there. In one regard, it looks professional. It does. You kind of give a quick disclaimer as to what the video is going to be, what the video is going to be about, then the intro hits, and it's kind of a neat thing. But in another regard, it's like, I've made tons of videos, and the intro's always been at the beginning. It just doesn't feel natural. I'm not sure. But let me know in the comments. But do you like the intro like that? Do you like it more at the beginning? I don't know. Let me know. But welcome to this week's episode of Dear Nero. It's a weekly series here on my channel where you guys send me in fan mail, fan questions if you will. If I feel so it's a good question, an entertaining question, I go ahead and answer it. And to cover on gameplay real quick, this is a domination game on Plaza. I start off here at the Type 25, then I switch out to Peacekeeper like you see on the screen right now. And it's a pretty good gameplay. It's actually a super old gameplay. It's from when I was non-Prestige, actually, right after I reset my stats. There's a clip in here that you guys may remember from a certain montage, and I think you guys will be seeing that, but I never actually posted the full gameplay. At least I don't think I have. It's been on my computer a long time. But let's hop on this with the first question. He writes, Dear Nero. I've always wondered who that guy is in your thumbnail for your Dear Nero videos. Your videos are legit. Keep up the awesome work, JD from Iowa. So the guy in the thumbnail is actually Joseph Stalin. Those of you guys don't know who Joseph Stalin is, he was the leader of the Soviet Union between like 1920 and like I think he died in the 50s, 1950s. And yeah, he led the Soviet Union through World War II, and I thought it was just a neat picture, right? So I was going for thumbnails for Dear Nero. I make all my thumbnails myself, and I don't use like a Photoshop or anything like that because one, I don't have it, two, I don't know how to use it. I make my thumbnails basically off of Google Images and off of Sony Vegas, where I can like use color correction, use different text formats and stuff like that. And it's a very simple thumbnail. It's a picture of Joseph Stalin writing a letter with the words Dear Nero written right there. And I don't know, I think it's interesting. I like World War II. I typed in man writing a letter, you know, in the Google Images, and I found a bunch of black and white images, but they were all just like random people. I'm like, huh, I should get a famous person to be in here. And I didn't want to be one of those people that had like some hot girl writing a letter in my thumbnail or something like that. I don't know. It just seems silly. So I'm like, Joseph Stalin. And I typed in Joseph Stalin. There's a picture of him writing a letter. And believe it or not, there's been a few people saying, that's offensive to have Joseph Stalin in the thumbnail. He's responsible for X amount of deaths and Joseph Stalin. And to those people, I'm like, well, I mean, it could be someone else. I'm so sorry for that. I've never used that as my thumbnail, but I just thought it was funny having Adolf Hitler there. Because people are like, you know, they get offended over Joseph Stalin. And it's like, it's a part of history. He led the Soviet Union. A lot of people died under his reign. Should I say reign? But it's history. Learn from it. It's a cool thing. I like World War II. So it's not really a big deal. I think it's kind of a neat picture. Just Joseph Stalin smoking a pipe, reading a letter. So hope you guys all enjoyed that question. Hopefully that answers it for those of you who always wondered who's in my thumbnail. Next question. He writes, Dear Nero, I'm 14 years old and I'll be in high school next year. I want to be on the wrestling team and I'm about 5'5" and 125 pounds. I'm not super strong, but I'm not weak either. I play soccer and basketball and I've never actually wrestled before. I watch the WWE all the time, but I know high school wrestling is a lot different. Are there any things I can do to get myself ready for wrestling? Also, do you have any tips that help me get ready for wrestling mentally and how to handle doing a sport in high school? Thanks. Keep up the great videos. Been a long time fan. Jack from Connecticut. Mr. Jack from Connecticut. So you're 14. You're going in high school next year. That's kind of a neat thing. High school is always it's an interesting, to say at least, transition for most people in the world. And you're wanting advice as to what you should do to prepare for the wrestling team. Now, before I get into this, I should say I'm not a fan of wrestling. The sport of wrestling in high school, I've always found it to be just a not good sport for a lot of reasons. And the biggest reason is the restriction on your diet and the restriction on your weight. In some regards, it's good. Wrestling in high school, like high school wrestling, like not like WWE wrestling, but, you know, should I call it Olympic style wrestling? It's actually a really good sport. You know, you get really strong when you do it. You develop friendships on the wrestling team. There's a lot of good benefits that come from joining a high school sports team. But wrestling is not the sport I would ever recommend to somebody, mainly because they restrict your diet. This guy was a friend of mine. He wasn't, he wasn't a close friend. He's more of a buddy at school, but his name is Keith. And ever since middle school, he was always a wrestler. And I can remember sitting here, like, listening to him and, like, the shop teacher, who is also the wrestling coach, sitting there telling the coach what he ate for dinner last night, because you have to make a certain weight every time you go to a wrestling match. Like, I want you to wrestle at 155, and so you have to keep your weight at 155. And, like, I would sit next to Keith at lunch, and he would, like, eat, like, a piece of bread for lunch while everyone else is, like, having, like, pizza and stuff. And he just wasn't allowed to eat because his coaches wouldn't allow him to eat because he had to keep that certain weight. He couldn't go over it. And to me, that was just like, wow, that's a horrible thing to do to someone so young, especially they were doing this in middle school. They did this all throughout high school. That's what I've never liked about wrestling. Therefore, I recommend you maybe do a different sport. That's my opinion, though. Other people may like wrestling. Other people may not mind having to basically starve themselves, but that's my opinion on wrestling. But preparing for a high school sport mentally, it's really no mental preparation. Just go in there and do your best. If you go in there and do your best, then if the coaches like you, if it's kind of school where the coaches like actually pick you for a team, they actually cut people, then you just gotta do your best and see what happens from that. But just go into it, try and have fun with it. Sports are fun, and you know, when you're out of high school, you look back and like, wow, I'm glad I did those sports because you know those sports were fun to do. But make sure it's a sport you actually enjoy. I know you watch WWE, and I think that's a big influence as to why you want to be a wrestler, but the whole cutting weight thing, that's something not a lot of people know about when it comes to wrestling, and it's not a great thing. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I've noticed in your gun control videos you seem blatantly conservative on the topic. Are you always this right, and he means right wing, or are you are only on the gun topic? Which political party do you support overall? And to say, I'm not a politics guy. I'm really not. That's why I don't do a whole lot of, you know, politic-driven videos or even news videos. I'm just not a politics person. The only time I really talk about, you know, politics or things like that in the media is because it's like directly affects me or directly affects my subscribers. Be it the sinner's tax on video games, or be it more gun control, or be it whatever like that. Those are things I just I have an opinion about, and I give my opinion on it. Whether or not that opinion is left or right, I don't know. I don't pay attention to politics. I don't even really necessarily what would define me as left or right. I don't pay attention to politics. I just give my opinion. Apparently, the opinion I have on gun control and just guns in general is very right. Is that right wing? I don't know. I don't pay attention to politics. I'm sorry. I really don't. But when it comes to gun control, when it comes to taxing us a sinner's tax on video games because we are sinners and we need to pay penance for playing video games because video games and movies are what they believe are directly causing violence, then yeah, then I give my opinion on that. I think it's kind of silly. And if it's a right opinion, a right-wing opinion, then I guess that would just be my opinion. But I guess that's the end of the episode. I mean, wow, where's the time go with these episodes, man? And we're at 195 already. I look up and the score, the gameplay's already over. But I hope you guys will enjoy this week's episode of Dear Nero nonetheless. If you did, please leave a rating where you guys will be deserves. Remember, any kind of rating whatsoever definitely helps the video grow and helps my channel grow as well. And if you guys like your question feature on next week's episode of Dear Nero, simply send me a personal message here on YouTube with the tagline reading Dear Nero. If it's a good question, an entertaining question, I'll go ahead and answer it. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Please leave a rating where you guys feel the video deserves. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.